Lena was the most promising software engineer at Nexus Tech, but she was also the most haunted. At 29, she was a prodigy, yet her colleagues knew to tread lightly. Lena carried a cloud with her, a weight that seemed to press her into the floor. Her secret wasn't hidden. It was on her phone, a locked photo album named The Archive. While her teammates brainstormed in sun-drenched rooms, Lena would disappear into the break room, scrolling through her digital graveyard. A screenshot of a brutal breakup text, a photo of her and her former best friend, now estranged. A news article about the startup that had fired her unfairly. A voice memo of her father, who had passed away. She believed these files were her armor. "This is my data," she told herself, her voice a low whisper. "It proves what the world is like. It protects me." She thought her past was a manual for her future, a script she had to follow to avoid ever being hurt again. One day, she was paired with a new intern, Leo, for a high-stakes project designing a new AI personal assistant. But Lena was blocked. Her code was rigid, paranoid, full of redundant failsafes. It was as if her own inner state, defensive and rigid, was being reflected directly in her work. The AI couldn't learn because it was too busy protecting itself from hypothetical failures. During a lunch break, Leo watched as Lena scrolled, her face hardening with each swipe. "Bad news?" he asked, his voice gentle and curious. Lena sighed heavily, the sound full of exhaustion. "Just my data, my past. If I delete it, it's like saying what happened didn't matter." Leo leaned forward slightly, his expression thoughtful. "You always seem to be carrying something heavy." On an impulse she didn't understand, Lena turned her phone toward him. "This is my identity now," she confessed, her voice raw with vulnerability. "It's who I've become." Leo didn't offer pity. Instead, he pointed at her powerful laptop, his tone turning practical and insightful. "Lena, your machine is a beast. But imagine if its memory was perpetually at 95% capacity, filled with corrupted files and every virus it ever encountered. It will have no resources left for the new programs you're trying to build." He tapped the screen of her phone. "You are treating your past as your destiny. You're trying to code the future with a processor bogged down by every old system failure. You can't innovate if your operating system is dedicated to guarding old ghosts." The metaphor hit her with the force of a physical blow. She realized her armor wasn't protecting her. It was becoming her prison, distorting her very identity. Her archive was malware, not a manual. That night, alone in the quiet of her apartment, she opened the archive one last time. She looked at the breakup text. She had learned she deserved respect. That was the data. But she didn't need the raw, painful file to prove it anymore. She looked at a photo of her friend. She had learned the value of boundaries, but clinging to the anger was a tax on her mental energy, draining the creativity she needed for her life. Finally, she held her finger over her father's voice memo. Tears streamed down her face, her breath catching her throat. She realized that letting go wasn't about erasing him. It was about curating his memory. She could carry his love forward without being anchored to the piercing pain of his loss. Letting go wasn't a betrayal. It was an act of resilience. "Thank you for everything, Dad," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion but filled with love. "I'm not deleting you. I'm making space to live." She took a deep, steadying breath and tapped delete. The screen went blank. The next morning, Lena walked into the office feeling a physical lightness, as if she had put down a burden she'd carried for years. She opened a new terminal. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Her code was no longer a fortress. It was elegant, open, and adaptive. It was designed to learn from failures without being defined by them. It was resilient. Her external work now reflected her newly unburdened inner state. Leo walked by and saw her smiling genuinely for the first time. "New OS?" he asked with a knowing grin. Lena looked up, her eyes clear and bright. "Yeah," she said, her voice calm and assured. "I learned my past is data, not destiny. I'm no longer letting it consume my cognitive resources." She gestured gracefully to the beautiful code flowing across her screen. True protection isn't a fortress. It's the resilience to handle whatever comes next.
Subscribe.